he said that once she came to her house, so she told our father, which is Mufti, Shafi rahimahullah ta'ala, Mufti Azam of Pakistan. So she said that, I really want to go for Hajj, but about our condition that I can't go. So he said, yes, if you have zealousness to go for Hajj, so have you done any preparation for it? So she said, how I can? So she said, separate some money, some of your earning, that that will be specific for your Hajj. So she said, हमारा तो गुजारा बड़ा मुश्किल से होता है, इतनी गुर्बत है. How can we do it? So he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't look your quantity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does look to your quality. So even if 50 cents you can separate for your Hajj, just do it. And he said that my sister then started to make separate some of their earning for Hajj, and then she died before she performed Hajj. So after some time, one of our brother, we were going to do Hajj Badal for Hajj. So our father, Mufti Shafi rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, this sister, she died before our father. So our father said that, also use her money that she separated for Hajj. So this is, we should start, and we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq, because with intention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us full reward. That in one ghazwa that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that he told Sahaba that, oh my Sahaba, that every valley that you are passing, some of your brothers, they are in Medina Munawwara. They are still here with you. Physically, they are in Medina Munawwara. But according to reward, they are getting reward. So Sahaba, they said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like, we are going through very difficulties, especially in journey, in safar. And mashallah, brothers and sisters, they are going for Hajj. So be prepared yourself for Hajj and for journey, because safar qit'atun min al-'adab. It is said in a hadith that this is a portion, safar journey is a portion of punishment. Because if you want to sleep, so you can't sleep. As you sleep at your home. If you want to eat, so you can't eat those things that you eat in your home. So this is something that we should prepare ourselves for it. So Rasulullah, they told Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam how they are with us in reward. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that they had intention to come with you, but some of their uzr, they make them stop and then make them to be in Medina Munawwara, but still they are getting reward. So inshallah, if we have this intention, then inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward us, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us opportunity to inshallah to perform Hajj. And those brothers and sisters who are going for Hajj, so this is a great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what shaitan does, whenever we do something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first, interrupted us, shaitan interrupted us, and and also preventing us to not do any good deed. But once we start, so then shaitan comes in, to destroy our amal by our intention. Our intention should be only that I'm making Hajj not for this, like I'm a very rich person. People, they are saying, still I did not go for Hajj, so that's why I'm making Hajj. And also, if I'm doing Hajj for this Haji, like a person, he went for Hajj से जब वापस आया, तो सीधा दुकानदार के पास चला गया. तो दुकानदार को कहा कि वो जो मैं आपसे उधार लेके चाहता हूँ, वो खाता बुक निकाल दो. तो मैं खाता बुक निकाल दिया. उससे कहा मेरा नाम कहाँ है. तो दुकानदार बड़ा खुश हो गया कि माशाल्लाह यहाँ से वापस आए हैं, तो आज ये पूरा कर्जा अदा कर लेगा. तो जब वो उठाया, उसे कहा मेरे नाम के साथ ये हाजी लिखो यहाँ पर. कहाँ है मेरा नाम? उसे कहा ये है नाम. उसे कहा अच्छा इसके शुरू में हाजी लिखो. तो और intention not should be like to be called haji, only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, inshallah. And so inshallah we have I'm not no problem delaying our program. Inshallah, our Mufti is here. Mashallah, he's often he takes groups Hajj inshallah. So he has, mashallah, a good experience for it. So further today, inshallah, he will take this program till 9:30, inshallah. And from 9:30 to 9:45, we will have 15 minutes for Q and answer session, inshallah. And then 15 minutes for snakes and 10 minutes for wudu, inshallah. So we will live, inshallah.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. قال الله تبارك وتعالى: الحج أشهر معلومات فمن فرض فيهن الحج فلا رفث ولا فسوق ولا جدال في الحج وما تفعلوا من خير يعلمه الله وتزودوا فإن خير الزاد التقوى واتقون يا أولي الألباب. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: من حج لله فلم يرفث ولم يفسق رجع كيوم ولدته أمه، كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. My respected brothers and sisters, we have to be extremely thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether it's the ibadat of salah, the ibadat of zakat, or any pillar of Islam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the idea. This is all how it begins. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first gives the tawfiq. The idea comes in that maybe I should do Hajj this year. After that, the ability comes in, the physical ability, financial ability is there. That also comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After the great ibadat comes to an end, the acceptance also comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So A to Z for every ibadat, we're all dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why Shaykh alayhi salatu wasalam said, وَمَا تَوْفِيقِي إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. Whatever you see I'm doing, it's nothing but a tawfiq, ability given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. عَلَيْهِ تَوَكَّلْتُ وَإِلَيْهِ. We rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So before I go into more details, how many of us are going for Hajj this year? Can I see, just raise your hand. MashaAllah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those that have gone for Hajj in the previous year, may Allah accept their Hajj. And those that are going this year, may Allah make it easy with afiyah. And those that wanted to go, who couldn't do it for some reason, we ask Allah for every believer at least once in a lifetime, we ask Allah to grant that opportunity to go, inshallah. Say Ameen. Okay. Now, for every ibadat, there is two aspects to it. There is the logistics, what do you do first, what do you do second, what do you do third, finally what you do at the end, how do you go, how do you come back, what you take, all that. Right? The other aspect of every ibadat is the spirituality, the internal effect. And what do I want from this Hajj? Where do I want to get to in terms of my spirituality, in terms of my connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You know, one of the shaykh, he went for Hajj with his teacher, and the shaykh asked him right in the beginning, they had not even left the country yet, he said, what do you want to get through all this? If you have not set your goals yet, then the whole ibadat will come to an end, and next thing you know, you're done with Hajj, that's it, right? Where's the change? This is why we're going to focus more upon the internal aspect, the spirituality which is desired, because there are numerous people going for Hajj every single year, right? And if everyone does it correctly and they have the sincerity which is needed, we'll see a betterment in the Muslim world. We should be seeing that. Right? The amount of Hajjis every single year are increasing. But unfortunately, we don't see the change that we are supposed to be seeing. Before, in the olden days, what used to happen was 6 months in advance, people used to start preparing for Hajj. And then they would travel either by sea or through a flight. And they would be preparing. Sometimes on the way there, they would get sick. There would be lice in the hair. There would be so much mujahada that by the time they get to Hajj, by the time they get to Baytullah, they have already experienced so much that they have the value of what to do there. They're ready, and they know that this is once in a lifetime experience, and they do not ever waste their time. What happens nowadays is that people, they work till the final day. Their flight might be that same day, and they're going to work. And right after that work, they come down, and now they're at the airport, and then they say to the Mu'allim, what do you need me to do? Should I wear ihram now? Should I do? So it's all about logistics, and we forgot about the spiritual aspect. This is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all the ahadith about Hajj that are mentioned, they're mentioned about purifying the individual, right? Making him a different person. When he comes back, this person should not be the same person that went for it. He should be completely different. He should have established some connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some scholars have linked Hajj with Ramadan. They have said the people who have done Ramadan very well in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the next ni'mah that Allah grants them is that Allah invites them to it. And they've said that throughout the year, these opportunities come again and again, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a chance to the person to get closer. This happens every few months, and this from Ramadan to Dhul Hijjah, about 2 months, right? 2 months, 10 days. So in that time, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives another opportunity to come closer to Him. Some have said that the 5 pillars of Islam, each one of them have a beautiful significance attached to it. Right? We have the first, which is the Shahada. Right? We all know this, we learned this as we were growing up. Shahada, if we look into the Quran, there is a command there that believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Straight up command. Right? When it comes to Salah, which is the next pillar, straight up command, Aqimu Salah. Namaz time karo. Straight up, you have to do it. Number 3 is Zakah. Wa'atu Zakah. Again, a command is there. Clear-cut command that do it. Then comes the fasting. Kutiba alaykum as-siyam, which is made fard upon you. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly just says that do it. This is what we expect from you. You should be doing this. When it comes for Hajj, the ayat that give an obligation for Hajj, it begins with walillah, walillah, walillah. Right? This is very important for us to keep in mind. If it's being done with sincerity, then we will never feel any pressure from the time we start the journey to the time we come back. We will not feel any difficulty whatsoever. We will understand that this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in return for this, Allah is constantly increasing my rewards. Right? So what happens is, from the very beginning, from the time we apply and we send in our passports, the sabr, the patient aspect begins. Some people, they say that, last time we had somebody who's very annoyed with his passport having so many stickers on it. He said, I don't like so many things on my passport. And so the Shaykh said that this is where your, the beginning of your struggle starts, that things that you do not like are going to start from now. Right? And then the next thing in Jeddah, as we get to Jeddah, from there, just waiting for the luggage and getting out into the open air takes so long that if we are not mentally prepared, it causes us to break down. And then when people break down, they start cursing the country, they start cursing the people who they went with. They find ways to blame that it's because of these people. I should have went in a different way, I should have went on a different day, I should have taken Ittihad instead of Turkish, I should... Constantly they start moving. But what was actually happening, that the struggle itself is going to come to every person. And it comes according to the person's ability to bear it. So if I'm going through hard times in my ibadat, Allah knows that I have the ability to bear that. This is why la nukallifu Allahu nafsan illa wus'aha. The ability is already there. We have to just realize and keep in mind that I'm doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If there's ups and downs, this is expected to happen. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Al-Hajj ashru ma'lumat. فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجِّ فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِنَّ. No shameful talk, no immodest activities, don't fight with one another. It's going to be a test of akhlaq, a test of developing and imitating the akhlaq of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from the very beginning. Right when we make the niyyah, you'll know that a lot of things come into play that we don't want them to exist. So from the very beginning, our mind should be set that for whatever happens, Allah has given me the ability to be patient in this, and I'm going to try my best to keep on to the patience that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects from me. Now, there are other significance that scholars have mentioned. I'm going to try to make it very short. The problem is that when we have a Hajj seminar, sometimes more than 2 hours are needed to cover every aspect. If we really take it slowly, it takes a long time. Last year we did it in Masjid Noor. we started after Zohar, and it was almost Asr time till we finished. So we even had to take a break in between, because what happens is that if you stop on every aspect and discuss it, how did Rasulullah do it, the do's and don'ts, it takes forever. And if somebody is not going for Hajj this year, they might not feel interested as much. Right? So we'll try to go through only the important things that are necessary immediately to keep in mind as we start our journey for Hajj. Ibrahim ﷺ was instructed, وَأَذِّن إِلنَّاسِ, O Ibrahim, call the people, right? He was told to build the house of Allah, and then he was told that now call the people, and this is where he said, oh Allah, how am I going to call the people, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that it's your job to call, and it's our job to make sure that your message is conveyed to all of mankind. Till the day of judgment, scholars have said that every person that's going for Hajj is responding to the call of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. So we have to take it as an invitation, that this year Allah is inviting me. This year, Allah is inviting me to His house. This is a taste of a type of ibadat that cannot be attained in any other ibadat whatsoever. In Shahada, the scholars say the first pillar of Islam, there is a recognition. When we talk about Iman, the point is to recognize how great Allah is. Right? When we come into the aspect of Salah, Silatun bayna al-abdi wa rabbi, it's a connection between the slave and his Lord. Right? We need anything, we can pray 2 rakats and make a phone call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And then comes the zakat. The scholars have said that wherever we spend our money, naturally we have an inclination towards that place. So if we spend for the sake of Allah, we'll have love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Then comes fasting. It's a step forward from love, which is in Urdu we say ishq, that a type of love that cannot be divided for anyone, right? We attain that by staying hungry and thirsty for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a month every single year. Then comes the aspect of Hajj, and this is where scholars have said that when a person starts to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to that extent, where he does not want to divide that love with anyone, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, come see. Alright? So we have to look at it that way, that Allah mujhe bula rahe hain. Allah ne mujhe dawat di hai. So if I look at it in that way, I'll be appreciating every step till I make it there, and as I come back. Now, istita'at is one thing that is talked about when it comes to who is Hajj fard upon. The basic thing to understand is that any adult Muslim that has developed the ability financially and physically to take on the journey of Hajj and to come back in the months of Hajj, then Hajj becomes fard upon. Okay, the months of Hajj are Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, and 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. In this time, if we develop the ability to go, and physically ability is there as well, now Hajj becomes fard. It is not right for me to delay it. Unfortunately, in our part of the country, we have this mentality that Hajj is kept at the very last portion of our life. We keep it at the very end. And those who have gone for Hajj, you see many old people that they're having difficulty even walking. Right? The thing is that we think that we should do everything, whatever we like, and then at the end we should keep Hajj before it's time to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no basis for this. Those that have gone for Hajj, they will understand that the whole aspect of Hajj, the whole ibadat of Hajj is actually for youngsters. If you look at it, there's walking, there's counting, there's movements, there's being hydrated amongst millions of people. Right? It has to do a lot of physical activities are involved. Right? So if we keep delaying, one is that we have no guarantee of our life. We should never delay this. Man arad al-hajj falyata'ajjal. The person has made intention, now he should hurry up. He should start making preparation. So even if we are in our young age and Allah has blessed us with the money and the ability is there, we should definitely go for Hajj. And then later on, Allah will give us ability in our old age, we'll go again. There was a youngster from Yemen. He did his first Hajj when he was 20 years old. When he was 20. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him life up to 120. He lived for 100 years. And every year he got the ability to go for Hajj. So he did 100 Hajj. So he started off young, so that's why he got the ability to get ahead in terms of this ibadah. And 80 of those he did walking. Now, it seems like it's difficult to talk about these things, but any ibadah, when it starts in a young age, you get to the highest peak. When you want to, when you're getting later on in your life, you'll be at its highest peak. And if we keep Hajj for something that's later on in our life, by the time comes so many physical problems, so many financial responsibilities, we constantly delay. So we should definitely ask our question by ulama ikram that I am in this situation, should I be preparing for Hajj or not? Not to use our logics and to say that, oh, I have daughters at home, I shouldn't be going for Hajj yet. I have loans to pay off, I shouldn't. This is something that is always going to be there. Mufti, Shaykh al-Hind, Mufti Mahmud al-Hassan Rahmatullahi would say that, you know, the marriage at one time used to be very simple. It was a quick thing. It used to happen one day and it's done with. Now what happens is a marriage has so many ceremonies and so much cost involved because of our culture, because so much is involved. So it's a very long aspect. So whenever we say we want all of our kids to be married off and then we're going to go for Hajj, it's very, very late. Right? So we should never delay until our scholars have told us that, okay, you shouldn't be going right now. If the ability is there, financially we're well off, we should definitely go for Hajj. Now many people, they make this i'tiraz that, oh, Rasulullah only did Hajj once. And why are there people going every year? Qaribur ko paisa de den, right? We hear this many times. It's very important to understand that Rasulullah before he migrated to Madinatul Munawwara, his Meccan life, the Prophet had done Hajj every single year in his Meccan life. Now officially it had not become an ibadah as part of Sharia yet, but there are many things that Rasulullah was already doing before that they had become farz. So when he was in Makkah, he was doing Hajj every single year. That's why we have narrations of the Prophet giving da'wat in the tents of Mina, right? So that's one thing to understand. The next thing is the Khilafat of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu comes in, 2 years of Khilafat. The first year people were constantly messing around with ahkam, so he made sure that everyone stays onto all the ahkam established by Rasulullah. The second year he went for Hajj and then he passed away, right? 2 years of Khilafat. Umar radiallahu anhu, 10 years of Khilafat, every single year he went for Hajj. Every single year. Usman radiallahu anhu, 11 years, and every single year he went for Hajj. So whenever the ability came to Sahaba Ikram, they would not say, oh, Rasulullah officially just did one, so I should just stick with one. If the ability is coming, I should say, oh, Allah is inviting me again, I would go, right? And it can never be substituted with any other ibadah, or use that money to give it to the poor. That too, when you go for Hajj, تَابِعُوا بَيْنَ الْعُمْرَةِ وَالْحَجِّ فَإِنَّهُمَا يَنْفِيَانِ الْفَقْرِ. The Rasulullah said, constantly do Hajj and Umrah, it will remove your poverty. It will remove your poverty. So now it feels like sometimes very expensive, but what will happen in return, that Allah will give so much barakah that we will have enough to even give to the poor and still go for Hajj. We'll have enough to do other ibadat and still go for Hajj. This is why it's very, very important. Now a question arises here that why is it that so many people that are going for Hajj every single year, but we don't see a change in their life? I had mentioned this earlier. The reason, there are two basic reasons that ulama ikram have mentioned. See, once I start the slides, then I'll just go through that. But these are some things all of us to understand. It's because two basic reasons why we see a downfall. Even after people becoming a Haji, they're still doing what they used to do, right? They come back and they end up doing the same thing or sometimes even worse. So what's the reason for this? The first reason is there is a lack of sincerity. When they're, like I said, people work till the last day, their mind is not in play, and they're not set for Hajj, and they end up going, and they just do the steps and they come back. So there has not been any change whatsoever. Close to Qiyamah, Shaykh al-Hadith have mentioned this hadith that close to Qiyamah people will be doing Hajj for different reasons. The rich will be going for tourism. And you'll find these type of people when you go for Hajj, you'll notice, oh, let's check out the new train system. Let's check out this building. Let's check out this mall. Tourism, vacation. We use up the days that our job provides us a year and we say, okay, I'm going to have my vacation as Hajj. I'm going to do it this way. Rasulullah already predicted this, that people are going to be going for Hajj in order to fulfill their vacation. Number two, the mediocre class. Majority of them will be going for Hajj as a business. And unfortunately, this is true. We see this today, that many times it's become a business for the hotel owners, for these group people. They're always looking for how they can make an extra dollar. And what happens, even in Hajj time, there are people selling their goods, right? So their focus is somewhere else. And about the poor, Rasulullah said that the poor will be going to beg. And know those that went for Umrah and Hajj, they know that people will come next to you, they put itar on you, right? And what's the next thing? Then they'll tell you about their condition. They're sitting in the house of Allah and they're spreading their hands in front of the makhluk. And this is happening today, right? This is why it's very important to have sessions like this, to constantly remind ourselves that this is all for Allah. From A to Z, I have to come back with a greater connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If that's not there, the fardiyah, the obligation will be uplifted, but this person will not change. The second thing is muwafiqatu sunnah. That means to do the whole ibadat in accordance to the sunnah of Rasulullah. Unfortunately, many groups that go today, the muallim, the leader, they're not ulama ikram, they're not scholars, right? They've just been doing this job for a long time. So people rely on them that, okay, at this time, just last year we went for Hajj, and the person in charge of the group was asking me, he's like, we're in Muzdalifah, can we just leave in the night? Now when it comes to Muzdalifah, it's wajib to stay in the morning after Fajr up to Ishraq, just a little bit, and that's called Wuquf in Muzdalifah. Without that, everyone in the group would have to pay a dam. That means to slaughter a goat, right? So he was making his own logical explanation that, okay, it's difficult, there's going to be a lot of rush, let's leave in the night from Muzdalifah back to Mina. So if ulama ikram do not supervise that, alhamdulillah, I got a chance to talk to him and we stayed the whole night and there was no violation. But there are people who are constantly doing Hajj and Umrah with violations after violation. Another person said that I was living in Jeddah and I used to go for Umrah again and again. So I said, your hair might be very short because you constantly get a haircut. He said, really, you're supposed to get a haircut after? And what happens is, if you don't get a haircut after, at the end of Umrah, what will happen? You'll never become halal. That means the state of Ihram will never come to an end. And now if you're putting fragrance on and you're breaking, if you're cutting your hair, if you're not cutting your hair but you're constantly with your wife, all of those violations after violations. So what happens? The Hajj no longer stays a Hajj al-Mabrur. It's just a Hajj. That means that Ibadat al-Sunnah, and we know even in Salah there are people like that, they pray and they leave. And they always ask them, why do we have to pray 5 times? I don't see a change in my life. The 2 rakah salat has enough power to change a person's life. Same way, Hajj, the reason, one of the wisdom that scholars have said that it's only farz once in a lifetime, the reason for that is that the Hajj once has so much power to change the worst of the people to the best. That's how much power there is if Hajj is done in the correct manner. So that's the second thing. If there's so many violations done, and the aspects are not supervised by ulama ikram, what happens is the people in the group, the leaders, they take advantage. And you try to look for the easiest option, and many times, there's a violation of slaughtering a goat on the whole group, and they never do it. Right? So that's why sin comes in. The greater the ibadat is, the more severe it will be in terms of consequences. Right? If a person has to go for Hajj, Hajj is fard on him, and he is delaying it, there are severe hadiths that say that Rasulullah said, we have no consideration for him. فَلَا عَلَيْهِ يَمُوتَ يَهُودِيًّا. We don't care for him whether he dies as a Jew or a Christian. Now, did we hear words like that from Rasulullah for any other ibadat? It's because the Prophet ﷺ is making it clear that when the ability is there, you should not delay it. Right? So even if we're in our young age, we should have already, like Mufti was saying, put aside a little bit of money every single year. A time will come, Allah will put the barakah, and next thing you know, we're invited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to visit the house of Allah. Hajj badal is the other thing. Let's say physically we're not able to go, then we should prepare somebody on our aspect, or write a will. Wasiyat should say that I designate this person, or I designate my inheritors to send somebody from my expenses for Hajj. Rasulullah said, "Inna Allah la yudkhilu bil hajjati al-wahida thalathata nafarin fil jannah." There's one Hajj that 3 people get into Jannah on the basis of that one Hajj. Al-Mayyit, the one who made the wasiyah that he died, he couldn't go. Wal-Hajju anhu, the one who did Hajj on behalf of him. Wal-Munfid lidhalik, and the inheritors that actually made it possible for that person to go. So one Hajj, which is Hajj Badal, it takes care of 3 people's entrance into Jannah. Right? So this is why if we cannot go, in our wasiyah it should be there that I did have plans, I couldn't go for this reason, then those that are his heirs will have the ability, if they can, they should definitely send somebody on behalf of the one who has died. So let's move on. Rasulullah has also said 400 individuals, one Haji gets, if the Hajj is done properly, 400 individuals he'll be able to do intercession on individuals. 400 admiyon ki shafaat, right? For Hafiz al-Quran is less, right? For ulama is less, but for Haji, it's 400 people, and fi ahli baytihi or fi ahli baytihi, either from his household or from any household whatsoever. Allah will say that you have done Hajj for me, now ask for me that whoever is going into Jahannam, you make the decision and I will pull them out. Right? So we see, if we keep these virtues in front of us, we'll see that this is, wow, this is a valuable ibadah. I cannot waste even a second in this. This is why it's very, very important to learn, to keep in front of us the virtues. Scholars have said that it's like a blank check. For these days of Hajj, Allah opens up His treasures and say that take as much as you want. So there will be different people and different Hajis. You'll see some wasting their time. Unfortunately, there's so many distractions outside of the Haram. So many distractions. The malls themselves, there were no malls before. The malls themselves, they said that these are malls that you cannot find in other parts of the world. That's the type of things that they're putting in there. So that aspect of distraction will always be there. But every person is responsible for his own time. He has to decide that what do I want from this Hajj? Where do I want to get to? Like I mentioned, with my connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the whole journey of Hajj is a journey of love. It's a journey of love. Apni muhabbat Allah ko dikhane ka mauka hai. Al-hajju ajju wa sajju. Right? Hajj is something that people go out, that they don't care about how their hair is. They don't care about what they're wearing, 2 sheets of clothes. We never want to be seen in that, right? If we go to our workplace or anywhere else, right? It's very, very difficult. Like when you come to the masjid, the ibadat has to be done very quietly with humble aspect. For Hajj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that call out, yell out, labbaik, Allahumma labbaik. Forget about your clothes, forget about how you look. Just come out. The way a person, he does not care for anything but the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will find these reminders in every aspect as we move forward in Hajj. So let's move on with these slides. Preparation for Hajj, some of these things I already mentioned, so I'm not going to take too much time. Sincerity, walillah. Only for Allah. We keep reminding ourselves not to be called Haji Sahib, not to be called a person who has done so many Hajj, right? Never to show off. We remind ourselves this is an invitation from Allah, and I want to make the most out of this. Repentance from past sins. Remember, Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam, he's making dua, Allah, give me a kingdom that was not given to anyone before me. But before he makes that dua, he says, Rabbighfirli wahabli. Rabbighfirli wahabli. Oh Allah, forgive me, then give me the type of kingdom that no one else has been given. That means clean my slate first. I don't want to be great and closer to you with all these sins in my account. This is why the aspect of Hajj is very similar to a person passing away. That when he's dying, you want to have your account settled with everybody, right? So we see that that's the next aspect mentioned here, that to make sincere tawbah. One is the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I make 2 rakahs of Allah. When I say labbaik, I'm not just saying I'm here for you, O Allah. I'm saying, O Allah, I've left that life of rebellion. वो सरकशी वाली जिंदगी, वो बगावत वाली जिंदगी में छोड़कर आया. Right? So when we go for Hajj, we're saying labbaik. We're saying, oh Allah, I'm here after leaving behind that life of disobedience. From now on, every moment of my life will be in accordance to your commands and the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Resolve outstanding differences and seek forgiveness from others. We know somebody might be unhappy with us for some reason. Their money we owe to somebody. This must be taken care of. Now in America, majority of the people are struggling with long-term loans. 20 years, 15 years, 30 years, right? So if we are making our payments on time and we have covered it for 1 year, we have enough. So usually there's no issue from the bank. You can travel, you can do whatever, as long as they're getting their share, right? So that's why that's not an obstacle for us in order to go for Hajj. The other thing is that if somebody has given us money and they expect to be paid the next month, and it's the days of Hajj, we have to ask permission for them. That brother, I'd like to go for Hajj this time. Can I delay my payment and give it back to you after? Okay? So we have to settle the short-term loans. We should try to settle those immediately. Pay and record all debts. Write and update your will. From amongst those that are going this year, how many have already written their will? Wasiyat kisne likh diye? MashaAllah, 1, 2, 3. And how many need to do it? Okay. So this is very important in America. Even if we're not going for Hajj, we should have a setup, a plan. What's going to happen if I just die right now? What's going to happen with all those different accounts and credit cards and whatnot? There was a brother that passed away in our community, and he did not do anything about this. The wife couldn't even get access to the money. They had frozen all of his accounts. So it becomes very difficult. If there's no instructions we leave behind for people, what will happen? They'll take advantage of it. So, especially for going for Hajj, we should definitely have made a wasiyat. What's wasiyat? It does not mean that we have to put down this much share of my wealth to be given to this. The distribution is not in our hands. Okay? What we should be doing is designate somebody, either our local imam, a Darul Ifta, a masjid, an Islamic organization. You have it written on your wasiyat that when I pass away, I want my wealth and all my possessions, whatever I'm leaving behind, to be distributed in accordance to the Shariat of Islam. Bas, itna karna hai. We have to have that notarized, that you've written it down, you've made somebody responsible, and you have had it notarized by an official officer that, okay, this is going to happen. After this person passes away, they are going to reach out to the people that's on the wasiyah, and they'll tell him that you tell us what we should do, and then Islamically it will be distributed. So that much should be taken care of as we go for Hajj, that we should have made a wasiyah. And if we need a sample of this, inshallah, after the program, just give me your emails, and I already have that sample. I can send it out to you, and it's very simple. Just remove the other name and put your own name down. 2-3 pages wasiyah, and it makes it clear that, if anything were to happen to me. Some people in wasiyah, they say, if I were to die. That's not how we should say it. We're going to die, right? That it's not a matter of if, but in this journey, if I die, or what are the instructions, then that should be coming into effect immediately. Make sure the wealth to be used for Hajj is from halal sources. Mufti Sahib already mentioned about this. We have to, if we cannot, then ask somebody to give you a loan. With their halal income, say that give me a loan and I'll pay you back with halal income later on. So take a loan from one of your friends. We're ready to do Hajj. Don't use the money if it's doubtful. For example, we're running a store. Most of the things we're selling are haram. Or our business, we know they're haram. Or we have shares in stocks that we know that it's a haram company. All of that income is now either doubtful or haram. It cannot be used for Hajj. Allah tayyibun and yuqbilu illa tayyiban. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pure, and Allah does not accept that which is nothing but pure. So we have to take care of that aspect as well, that make sure that the sources of our income are halal. Choose the company of the righteous. Now, when we're going for Hajj, there's numerous groups going. I'm not here to propagate that go with me or to go with anybody. Anybody we go with, do your homework. Who are the people going to be running the religious aspect of it? The other things about, I already said that there are going to be struggles. Even the most expensive package that you pick out, I noticed this last year because there are people complaining. We met them, in the hotel and different places, that if it's written for some difficulty, it's going to happen. No matter what group, even if you're taking a $15,000 package, there are some difficulties because this is a small country. You're trying to manage millions of people. So the person in the group, he might have done his job right, but the hotel people sometimes fall behind. Sometimes the bus drivers, they fall behind. So something usually goes wrong, and it doesn't matter which group we're going with. Make sure there are people that we can, stay with, learn with, and we're in their environment in order to, reflect on ourselves. Learn as much as possible. Hajj and Umrah, that's what we're doing. Fiqh and how to, meaning spiritual and historical aspects. Memorizing some du'as, this is how we prepare. I should already be praying all my salats in the masjid. If I want to do it there, I should have started already. Okay? We're going to pray all of our salat in the Haramain, so we should be praying all the salat here, so that it's in our nature that we want to go and pray with the Jamaat. Right? Similarly, the people in the Hajj groups, they say that start walking at least half an hour every single day. The reason for that is that Hajj, there is a lot of walking required, and if we're not used to walking, even a little bit of a walk is going to disturb us. It's going to become a problem because there's dehydration, it's so hot and whatnot. So it's very important that some exercise should have already started. The other aspect is to make some dhikr and dua, half an hour every single day. Oh Allah, you're inviting such a simple person like me. So we're preparing ourselves actually, right? So we should already be doing this. If not, start now until the day we get there, inshallah. Learn how to pray Salatul Janazah. This is not needed. If we have learned it, it's fine. Usually the Janazah is there in a Jamaat, it's done in a Jamaat, so we're going to follow. Learn the etiquette of visiting the graves. Learn the rules of Salatul Safar. If we have scholars with us, you can just ask them and follow along. You don't have to take too many classes or too much pressure on yourself. Mental, physical preparation, medical checkup. There's shots that are required. I'm sure our group people are going to tell us that you can't really get the visa without that unless they have given some exceptions. When packing things for Hajj, keep in mind what? Say light. Keeping less things is always beneficial. Any traveling we do, okay? Sometimes we get worried, this is the first time doing Hajj, I don't want to go out, buy this. We keep things, so many unnecessary things. Now what happens? Either we're going to be carrying that around up to our Hajj, up to our hotel room, or we're going to have to carry that from the hotel room to Mina, and on and on and on. It's a problem. It's a big problem. So we should definitely keep only those things that are necessary that's going to come up, and try to keep as less things as possible. Light things, and do not take valuables, and some cash. When we take money with us, we should take $100 bills. We know that in overseas, those are easier to exchange. If we're keeping dollar bills and 20s, it becomes a problem, and sometimes they don't give the same amount. The documents, our Hajj group, these are all logistics that the Hajj group people are going to take care of. That's why I'm going through it very quickly, inshallah. Small book of authentic du'as, Hajj guide, this, travel size. Okay, clothing. Now, as far as clothing, comfortable clothing, it's very hot out there, right? Some shalwar kameez, some jubbas, we can buy these there as well. And this is very, very important that we have not taken too many pairs of clothing. And again, it's going to be heavy luggage, too much carrying slippers and socks, and all of that is there. So that's basically, now let's get to the next point, and what to take for ihram. The most important aspect of the taking for ihram is the sheets of ihram. Okay? Usually the people of the group, they provide this. They will give it to you, but it's smart to have a second one handy. Last year we were on the flight, one of the youngsters, he dropped like coffee on his ihram sheet, and it's white, right? So the whole time you're just thinking, how do I look, and that mindset is disturbed again. So if we have an extra sheet, we don't have to keep two, we can keep one extra, so if one gets dirty, we'll go ahead and change that. Now if you notice, there's a travel belt. It is allowed in Hajj to tie our belt in this way. If you have another one, different company, it's fine. And these are vibrant, some of us already know, they're shaped like our feet. Okay, so scholars have allowed the black and yellow, scholars have allowed that in ihram. So that's an option there, that if we would like to keep that on. The point is, the middle part of the foot, right, from above the toes all the way up to the ankle, that area has to be, जो ऊपरी भी हड्डी है पाँव के सामने वाले हिस्से में, that has to be opened up and exposed. You cannot have straps on that, you cannot have a covering on that. These sandals, there is an argument, some scholars don't approve of it. They say the upper one is still on the bone, and some say that it's not. So it's in the gray area, it's better to avoid that one. That's the best. The flip-flops, that's the best. The regular flip-flops are very weak, they usually break. So what should we keep? Crocs. You guys have heard of Crocs? That's a company for slippers, right? So those are very, very strong and stable, very good. Safety pins are allowed during the ihram, and unscented Vaseline. Now this seems like it's unnecessary, but it's very, very necessary, especially for the men folk. It's very, very necessary, because when we constantly walk in that temperature, what happens is we develop rashes under our armpits, sometimes between our thighs, and if that happens, and it's happened a lot of people in the groups that I've gone with, it makes it a problem. You cannot walk. That's how badly it stings. So to have Vaseline or any other company, we can go ahead doing that. For sleeping, now you see some things are necessary, some things are not. Just to have a small pillow is fine. There's only one night we're going to be spending outdoors. That's the night in Muzdalifah. That night is outdoors, and that's where we need something to lay down. Some people, they don't carry much, they use their bag and they just lay. It's a few hours. By the time we get from Arafah to Muzdalifah, it takes forever. It's only two miles, but it takes so long because of the pressure and so many people. So what happens now, that when we get there, it's already so late. So we don't need to keep a sleeping bag, a tent, and all of this. It is only a small pillow is fine, and something to lay on, maybe a yoga mat, that works as well. Okay, face masks, and these are some things that do help, but they're not necessary. Face masks are not allowed in ihram, but the other days that we're in Makkah out of ihram, it's fine to wear it, because there's so much pollution, there's so much obviously bacteria and stuff, there's so many people, and some are sick. That's why there's always that Hajj flu that goes on. So that's fine to wear out of ihram. The other things, eye covers and color tape, that's to cover on. The color tape is for our luggage, to recognize that. Eye covers is obviously to keep the light from coming, you can sleep. To keep a telephone, and all of these things are good. You don't need the clock anymore, the phone is enough. And to keep count of how many circuits of tawaf we've done and how many circuits of sa'i we have done. These are all things that are very, very necessary. Now I'm going to go through, because of the shortage of time, I'm going to go through it very quickly. Let's move on. This is probably things that are very obvious and we know. Alright? So we're going to go on to the next 2 days. Days of Hajj. Can somebody just tell me what are the 5 days of Hajj? जी कौन बताएंगे? Yes, जोर से बोलें. It's coming out of the screen too, so let's see. जी, आज ही इतने सारे जा रहे हैं. कौन से दिन है हज के? 8 से 13 को भी शुमार करते हैं वैसे, लेकिन अक्सर चीज़ें 12 तक पूरी हो जाती हैं. That's right. So let's say all of that stuff that I said is done. Now it's the 7th, Zulhijjah is the 8th. Usually groups, they go a week in advance. So once we got there, we've already done our Umrah. These are for people that are doing Hajj Tamattu. There's 3 types: Hajj Tamattu, Hajj Qiran, and Ifrad. Ifrad means we only made niyat for Hajj and not Umrah. Okay? Those living in Makkah, they are instructed to only do Ifrad. And according to Imam Malik, the most superior type of Hajj is Ifrad. And then Imam Shafi, Imam Ahmad, they say the best is Hajj Tamattu. And according to the Hanafiya school of thought, it's Hajj Qiran, because that's the longest amount of time that we stay in Ihram. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam initially started his Hajj as Ifrad. Jibreel Islam said to connect Umrah with it as well. So that then became into Hajj Qiran. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam के जो Hajj है वो Hajj Qiran है. लेकिन आप sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने ख्वाहिश जाहिर की कि अगर मैं अगले साल भी जिंदा रहूं तो मैं फिर Hajj Tamattu करूंगा. So because of that desire Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, some scholars say that Hajj Tamattu is better according to the Hanafiya, but most people are going to be doing Hajj Tamattu. Is there anyone here that's doing any other type of Hajj? We're going to be doing Hajj Tamattu. Most of us are going to be doing Hajj. So what happens? You go there and you do Umrah and you get out of the Ihram. How do we do Umrah? First is, after we got to Masjid al-Haram, we go into the Baytullah, and just like we enter into a masjid, and we're making dua, Allahumma ftahni abwaab rahmatik, durood on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And some books will tell you to go through Babu Salam, but it's difficult nowadays. So what we should do is go through the gate of King Abdul Aziz, and that's the one that you can directly go straight to the Kaaba. Now we don't want to put our eyesight towards the Kaaba immediately, because the first place of where du'as are accepted is the first time we see the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So scholars say that when you go in, keep your gaze down until you get to a comfortable spot and you stop there and you can see the Kaaba very clearly. Now you make the dua. Ye pehli jagah hai jahan dua qabul hoti hai. So all the places that are mentioned in Hajj for accepting dua, we're not supposed to rush that. We're not supposed to rush. We can make a list for duas. You're going to see those that are going for Hajj, a lot of people are going to say, make dua for me. Make dua for me. Make dua. So write down their name. Last year we had people that had done this. It made so much easier that when you're making dua, you got everybody. Right? What happens is there's so much going on there and you forget. And now you're like, what else should I ask for? You don't want to be in that position. So if we made a list, it will help us. The next thing is, we're moving into, geographically we know this already, that where the Kaaba is. Mawaqit. Mawaqit is basically the limits set by Rasulullah around the area of Makkah. Now there's 5 different areas. Whichever area we are flying from and it comes in our way, that's the limit. So our group people are going to tell us, if you look at it, it says Zatul Ilm, Qarn al-Manazil, Yalamlam, and Jeddah is not one of the miqats, but it's parallel to the other miqats, so it's considered as a miqat. So most flights that are going from the US, they're going to be crossing Jeddah, and the people on the flight will tell you that you're about to cross your miqat. So when you're about to cross that, we should have already been in Ihram. That means we pray 2 rakats, we put on our sheets, and we make niyat. We make niyat on behalf of someone else. We're doing Hajj Badal. Oh Allah, accept. Oh Allah, I make niyat for Hajj on behalf of so and so. Accept it and make it easy for me. Make the niyat. After that, we say Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik. These 3 things. Pray the 2 rakat salat, put on the sheets, and made the niyat and said Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik. From here, all the restrictions start. From right there. When we've said Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik Adal, now there is no using fragrance. There is no breaking our hair. There is no, cutting our hair. There is no cutting our nails. We're going to keep ourselves in our original form. Okay, the way we are. And all the aspects of akhlaq, not to lie, and not to curse, and not to whatnot, we already know those things. If we're coming from Medina, if our flight is first in Medina, they'll make you stop in Dhul Hulayfa. And that's where Rasulullah ﷺ has stopped when he was coming from Medina, and that was the miqat of the people of Medina to Munawwara. Okay. So, now miqat, that's one limit, okay? After we pass miqat, we should have already been in ihram. If somebody passes miqat without ihram, he has to then give the dam. Dam is what? Does anybody know? Sacrifice of the goat, okay? That if we make these mistakes, some mistakes are that constitute the dam, the goat slaughtering. So if a person goes past the miqat and is not in ihram, it's going to be a problem for him. He might have to give the dam. But if he goes back to the miqat, let's say you get off in Jeddah and you remember, I passed it, right? You can always drive back to the closest miqat. You can tell the taxi person that, take me back. And if you go back, then no longer slaughtering. You've covered that mistake, so you're off the hook. Okay? So miqat ki baat hogi. Let's move forward. Limits of the haram. Now, if we're doing a second umrah, usually in Hajj Tamattu, you do one umrah, and after that, just tawaf after tawaf. We're not going to be doing another umrah. Don't do many umrahs. This was a problem last year as well, that people thought that, okay, we have so many days till Hajj begins, let's do another umrah. In the days of Hajj, initially, umrah was not allowed, initially. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this concession that, okay, for people who might be coming once in a lifetime, let them do umrah as well and Hajj, right? That's why we have a sacrifice in the end, the qurbani, is because we attach Hajj and Umrah together. So when we need to do Umrah, these are the places that we have to go to. Tan'im is where Masjid Aisha, usually somebody would drive you from Makkah to Tan'im, and from there you make your next ihram for Umrah. But during the Tamattu and Hajj days, one Umrah is enough. In the places of, I'm going to skip this as well, because in the places of the Hudud Haram, not to cut plants and not to kill animals, usually this doesn't happen. Okay, so we don't need to be concerned about this. Not to hunt. Everything is available nowadays in the hotel, so we can move on with that. Again, this is now kinds of Hajj. Let's move to this. Hajj Tamattu is what most of the people are going to be doing. Okay, so first we make the Umrah, then we make another Ihram on the 9th of the 8th of Dhul Hijjah for Hajj. Qiran, both of them in one niyat. Okay, and Ifrad is only the niyat for Hajj. For women, now this is a very important aspect, our sisters that are listening. If our days of the cycle are falling in the days of Hajj, either we take medical advice, there are pills available that will stop that and delay it. Okay? If that works, then it's allowed for us to go into the haram and do everything like everyone else. If it doesn't, if there's spotting still going on, then in this time you cannot do tawaf. You cannot go into the masjid. Okay, in that condition. So as she crosses miqat, she will make the niyat of ihram. She will not pray the 2 rakats. Okay, and for sisters, there is no particular ihram. They're just covering their body. The only restriction is not to cover their face. That's the only thing. You can wear anything, and unfortunately, this concept has started now that people wear white. There is no basis of that. Iski koi shari haysiyat nahi hai ki sufed pehenna. We can wear any clothes, modest clothing, and cover our clothing. Person who's getting into ihram, before he gets into ihram, he should trim his mustache, take care of the extra hair, pubic region, and take a shower. All of these are sunnahs, and we can put as much itar as we want before we get into the niyat of ihram. Okay, we can put as much itar and fragrance as we want before the niyat of ihram starts. Okay, so the niyat is done. Then talbiyah is labbaik, Allahumma labbaik. Everyone should have memorized this. Those that are going for Hajj. Every time we go up and down, up the stairs, up the elevator, you're talking to people, we're visiting places. Labbaik, Allahumma labbaik, labbaik, la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamd, wa ni'ma laka wal mulk. So we're reading this. This is the exact sunnah for all the hajis. Until we do the pelting, until that day, we're going to be doing all the talbiyahs. Okay? After every salah, morning, evening, all the time. The women, they're going to do it in a very low tone. They should not be yelling out. Now, in terms of clothing and in terms of the prohibitions in ihram, we cannot put on fragrance. We cannot, like I said, we cannot cut our hair, we cannot cut our nails, we cannot wear sewn clothing. Sile hue kapde nahi pehen sakte. Isi tarike se we cannot cover our, our feet. It's going to be those flip-flops and exposing our the foot from the front. I think most of us already know this. During Hajj, it's disliked to have a wedding proposal done. Obviously, it's distracting from the idea of Hajj, so that's why it's there. Things that are permissible, you can have an umbrella. You can even have these hats that are like umbrellas now, to keep yourself from the heat. That's allowed. To wear eyeglasses, to have a bag, that's all fine. The bag is sewn, so you're not wearing something that's sewn. When we say it should be in the structure of our body. That means a shirt, pants, an imama, topi, right? They're made to cover the body. These kind of things are not allowed, but bags and small accessories that are not in this case, they are allowed to. Okay. All right, now let's look at this. The niqab for the women. The regular niqab, there are women that cover their face wear, that's not allowed in Hajj, okay, because it touches the face. So if that happens and it is on for more than 12 hours, then she has to do the dam again. The slaughtering is there. If it's less than that, then sadaqah is going to come into effect. So anything that happens, we should definitely ask the ulama with us that what do we do wrong and how do we expiate. So the first two are wrong. The next two, to open the mouth, the face, is correct. Now, those that have always covered their face, now in Hajj, how do they expose themselves, right? So that's why you see this right here, it doesn't touch the face. It's basically a hat and it covers the face, okay? So you're having your parda and you're also not violating anything in your haram. You're covering your face. These other two pictures I added here, these are new hats that people are using nowadays. This will protect the sister from, exposing her face to others, and at the same time, she won't have to, she can wear this and just sunglasses, right? That would do it too. Now, you don't have to open your face in front of the non-haram. Okay. I've already discussed this. Let's keep moving. So let's just look at this. If you see this picture right here, most of the people where it says Abrajul Bayt, this is where majority of the people stay. Most of the groups, this is a collection of different hotels. They're either there or on different sides. So right when you come out of Abrajul Bayt, in front of you is Gate of King Abdulaziz, right in front of you. So right when we get up, we can go directly into the haram. And we've made the dua, like I said, to stop and take our time, make the dua. The next thing is, instead of praying Tahiyyatul Masjid, it's the tawaf now. Okay, the Tahiyyah of Masjid Haram is tawaf. How do we do tawaf? Very simple, very easy. We don't have to make things complicated. So it's like looking at it that there's millions of people going around the Kaaba, and this is the ibadah that does not stop throughout the whole year. At all times, tawaf is going on. Okay, so we look for the green light. There's a green light that indicates that this is where your circuit is going to start from. Okay, so we get ourselves to that green light, and before getting parallel to the Hajar Aswad, we should stop a little bit left to it. We've not started immediately in front of Hajar Aswad. We raise our hands like we raise our hands for Salat, and this is where we make the niyat. Bismillahi Allahu Akbar, walillahi alhamd, and there's some du'as. If you have a book, you can make those du'as. But the niyat is done here. Allah, I'm making niyat for tawaf. Make it easy for me and accept it. You can say it in your own words, in your own language. Now niyat is done. We move on then in front of Hajar Aswad, parallel to it. If we're able to touch it, which is very difficult in these days, but from far we can do istilam of Hajar Aswad as if we are kissing it. We go like this towards the Hajar Aswad and kiss our hands. Okay? This is going to be done in every circuit. After that, we start moving. Now, as we move in tawaf, we should have open. For the man, we should have opened our right arm, right? And this is called istiba. That means you're showing your strength. Rasulullah had said this because some people are saying that these people have come from Medina, they're probably weak. So after the conquest of Makkah, Rasulullah said, show your strength. Show how powerful you are. So that's a sunnah we have to do. Ramal. The other thing is called Ramal. That means to march. The first 3 circles we go around the Kaaba, we're marching a little bit. It's not enough space to move. People are going to be stuck this close to us, right? So we're going to be moving in a marching manner, but as we get space, we're going to move forward. Okay? Every circuit this is going to happen. During the tawaf, we should not look at the Kaaba. We should not look at the Kaaba. Now some might say, why not, right? It's similar, there's instructions in Salat, we're told to look down, right? There's instructions. Similarly, Tawaf, it starts as a type of ibadah. And we're not going there to look at the Kaaba, we're actually worshipping the Rabb of the Kaaba, right? So our focus is towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Kaaba just brings us together. So we're constantly moving in this position where our eyesight is forward. We're not looking at the Kaaba, and we're making the zikr of Allah. There is no particular zikr to be done. There is no particular, Allah made it so easy that you can be reciting 3rd kalima, 4th kalima, subhanallah, alhamdulillah, and we're making tawaf around the Kaaba. As we get to Rukn Yamani, Rukn Yamani is the final corner before we hit Hajar Aswad. That's where it's instructed to recite Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhaban nar. So you see in this tawaf circulation, we'll be going around Yamani corner. That means it focuses towards the country of Yemen. That's the place. When we go around and get to there, from there to Hajar Aswad, we're reciting Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana. Ye masnoon dua hai. Baki askar wahan pe koi masnoon nahi, koi bhi zikr chahe kare. Quran ki tilawat, scholars say don't do it there, but keep another time for tilawat, but do the zikr of Allah as much as you want, okay? Any azkar that we like. So no pressure on that to memorize dua. There are people who miss out on the experience. They're constantly focused in their book. They're reading, pehli chakkar mein ye padhna hai, dusri chakkar. The experience of being there for Allah is lost because your whole mind is stuck in the books. Right? So any zikr of Allah should be done. This is called tawaf al-qudum. Right when we get there, if we're going for umrah only, then we do tawaf al-qudum. In Hajj tamattu, tawaf al-qudum is not for us. Okay? That's what I'm going to go through. It's not for us. We're going to be making just the tawaf of umrah and then sa'i. So 3 circles. After the 3rd circle, now we don't have to march anymore. We're going to be walking regularly. Okay? Har circle mein. Is this clear? Inshallah, I'm going through it very fast. It's very clear. Every circle is the same. When we get to Hajar Aswad, 1 circuit is done. Then again 2, 3. So इस तरह 7 करने हैं. और जब आपने शुरू में इस्तिलाम किया, we did 1, right? At the end you'll be doing 1. So there's 8 istilams of Hajar Aswad. 8 times you have kissed the Hajar Aswad. After that, there's 2 rakats to be prayed right behind Maqam Ibrahim. Do we know what that is? Anybody? Maqam Ibrahim,
copper, where the feet of the
Yes. So if we can look online, do a little bit of research, this is all part of our Islamic history, right? So that's Maqam Ibrahim right there. So right behind it, it's hard to get a spot. Anywhere in the haram or outside of haram, in the line of Maqam Ibrahim, we should pray 2 rakats. First rakat Kafirun, second rakat Suratul Ikhlas. Okay? 2 rakats are done. This is the picture of Maqam Ibrahim. This is the place where Ibrahim alayhi salam stood. And Allah moved the earth with him to go up and down, and he was able to construct the Kaaba as an escalator for himself, right? So this was a miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right after that, Zamzam. Rasulullah ne farmaya ki itna Zamzam piyo ke tumhari phasliyan bhar jaye, right? There is no harm in that, and it's better than any water that's out there, right? So this is where we stop and take a good break, and because there's so much walking done, drink as much. This is the second place where du'as are accepted. Zamzam bhi piyenge or dua bhi mangenge. After that, now we're going towards Safa and Marwa. Going towards Safa and Marwa, before we go up that hill, we're going to make another istilam of Hajar Aswad. This is the ninth istilam of Hajar Aswad. Okay? So, because I mentioned there's 8 and then 9 before going for Safa and Marwa. Safa and Marwa is what? The idea of bringing alive the Sunnah of Ibrahim alayhi salam, where his wife ran in order for nourishment for her baby, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought forth the solution of Zamzam. This is how it used to be. Nowadays there's four different levels. So you can pick any, and you won't see the mountain anymore because of their construction. Now moving forward, as we got onto Safa, we look towards, we face towards the Kaaba. Sometimes you can't see it because of the construction now, but we're facing towards Kaaba. Yahan par aapne niyat bhi karni hai. To make the niyat of sa'i. Oh Allah, I make niyat for sa'i, make it easy and accept it. And this is another place of dua to be accepted. So we're taking another few minutes to make dua here. Okay? Right after that, we're going to go downhill towards the circulation of Safa and Marwa. Every one side is considered 1. There was a very elderly person, he was going and coming back, and then he thought that was 1. That is very, very difficult. So Allah made it easy that Safa se Marwa 8, then Marwa se Safa 2, like that. Okay? So you're going to complete 7 circuits in this way. When the green lights come, you'll see green lights on the ceilings. The men, not the women, the men are instructed to jog a little bit, to walk fast. And that again is to bring alive the sunnah of the wife of Ibrahim alayhi salam as she used to run. And when she ran in those 2 places, we do exactly the same thing. In our mind, in the Safa wal Marwata min sha'airillah. We're reciting these ayats or any other dhikr we like, but the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, the sacrifice, like I mentioned, this whole journey is about love and spirituality. Every aspect must see what happened in this place. Okay, this sacrifice happened, this how help of Allah came, I have to keep my mind there. Forget about what people are wearing, forget about what they're talking about. We're constantly moving with our mind connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in every place, we're going to enjoy the spirituality of that place. We're in Makkah, these are the exact places where Rasulullah has put his feet. We're in Medina, we're thinking this is where Rasulullah is. So we're constantly refreshing our idea that this is something. Now, once we've done the sa'i, 7 circuits are done, halaq. That means either 1/4 of the hair has to be cut, or the whole head should be shaved. Okay? 1/4 is the limit. When you go up to a barber there, you can just say qasar, and he knows that, okay, I have to cut to the point that 1/4 of the hair is cut. Or if we want to do halaq, Rasulullah made dua of maghfirah for the people who do halaq 3 times and once for the people who do qasr. That means that shaving is more rewarding, okay? So you can do it again and again. Now even if our hair doesn't come back, just take blade and again, that's your halaq. For women, they're going to take 1 inch. They grab all of their hair and they put it around 1 inch of their finger, and that's it. They have to cut that. And they're out of their ihram. So Umrah is done up to here. Like I said, this is a very long process to understand, but I'm going through it. Now on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, our group people are going to set up the thing to go to Mina. They'll let us know what time the buses are coming. The whole day on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah is about resting in Mina, nothing else. Because 9th and 10th are going to be very, very exhausting. So on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, we're going to be resting. Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and Fajr. You're going to pray this with your Jamaat in your tent in Mina. And we can just rest, do ta'aleem, listen to bayanas, listen to our scholars giving talks. All of that is about resting and being prepared for the next day. The next day after Fajr, our group people will tell us it's time to go for Arafah. Al-Hajj Arafah, the most important aspect of Hajj, which is a fard in Hajj, is to stay in the plains of Arafat. Rasulullah made dua 6 hours for his ummah in this place. And this is where Al-Yawma Akmaltu Lakum Dinakum ayat was revealed. The completion of our deen was declared. The khutbah was done. So there are many significances there. So what should we do on the 9th? In the morning, the people will take us to Arafat. And in Arafat, if the Imam leads the prayer, then we should connect Zohar and Asr together. The Hanafiya perspective is that if there's no Imam and everyone is making their own Jamaat, then Zohar and Asr should be prayed at its own time. Okay, there is an argument here. So what should we do if our group leaders are saying that we should pray Zohar Asr together? It is allowed for us. According to Sahibain, the students of Imam Hanifa, they allowed that you can pray both with one azan, one iqamah, Zohar and Asr Qasr. Okay, this is Arafat. We're staying in the plains of Arafat all the way until Maghrib sets in. The sunset has happened. This is the time to make lots of dua. Lots of dua, standing and making dua. This is what part of Wuquf Arafah is. This is why the student of Allama Shibli Rahmatullahi, when he came back from Hajj, he asked his student, he said, when you wore ihram, did you take out the garment of sin? He said, what does that mean? I wore 2 sheets, but I didn't really do it. He said, when you went for Arafah, did you attain the ma'rifat of Allah? He said, no, we stayed there. He said, when you went for Muzdalifah, did you make the night valuable with ibadat? He said, no, we were too tired. He said, when you made sacrifice of the animal, did you sacrifice your nafs? When you pelted the shayateen, did you develop hatred for shaitan? So he said, no. He said, you have to do your Hajj again, right? So obligation is uplifted, but if spirituality is not developed, then we lose out the main purpose of Hajj. Now, if you look at from Makkah to Mina to Muzdalifah and Arafat, it's about 3 miles of the distance in between. So it's some people you'll find them walking in between. That's allowed as well, but it's up to our capacity how we can do. Okay, Arafat, we completed Zohar Asr together there, and after that, after sunset, we're not going to pray Maghrib. We get onto the bus, and now we're headed to Muzdalifah. Another mile or so, but it takes hours to get there. Now, after getting to Muzdalifah, it's Sunnah Muakkada to stay in the night in Muzdalifah there, and to pick up the small pebbles. This should be the size of chickpeas. So we're going to pick up 70. Why is that? That every time we hit the shaitan, the place of Jamarat, there's 7. So the first day there's 7. The second day there's 21. Okay, third day there's another 21. And the fourth day there's another 21. So if we were to count that, it ends up as 70. Okay, so that's why it's always safe to have 70 pebbles. You can keep more if you like, just in case. Okay, now we completed Arafah. We're going to Muzdalifah. In the night of Muzdalifah, it's very late. It's very, very late. So what happens here is that take a little bit of rest and, fulfill our necessities. Rasulullah is a very ajib point mentioned here when Rasulullah did his Hajj. In Muzdalifah, the Prophet did not get up intentionally to pray tahajjud. His whole life, tahajjud was farz on Rasulullah. He would always pray. In the night of Muzdalifah, Rasulullah did not pray tahajjud salah. And this was why? To give to the ummah his blessing that even if you sleep, you are not leaving any sunnah down. Agar so bhi jao to wo bhi sunnat ke mutabik rahe. Okay? So this is the rahmat of Rasulullah. So if we cannot do it, we're too tired, it's fine. A little bit of that. Now what do we do? Right when we got to Muzdalifah, Maghrib and Isha, one azan, one iqamah. We're going to combine that and to pray in Qasr. Of course, Maghrib will stay the same, and Isha will be 2 rakats. After that, we do the sunnahs in order. Okay, moving forward. These are what is going on the screen is that Arafah, it says if you go to Masjid Namira there, what happens is some of the masjid is outside of the plains of Arafah. So we should not step outside of Arafah as long as we are in the plains of Arafah. So that's just to indicate that. The North American tents, they are very far from this masjid. So it's not a good idea to go that far, people get lost. Similarly, the Jabal Rahmat is there. It's not a good idea to go that far. People get lost and they get exhausted. Now they cannot do other ibadat. Okay? So we're up to Muzdalifah. We've picked up the stones. We prayed the 2 prayers. And now we rest. In the morning, Fajr Salat is done. After Fajr, up to Ishraq to make dua. That's wukuf in Muzdalifah. It's wajib. It's very necessary to do that. After that, we're going to get in lines and get onto the bus to go back to Mina. Now, which day is this? Is anybody following along? ये कौन सी तारीख होगी ज़ुल्हिज्जा की? 9 को अरफा में थे और रात हमने मुज़दलिफा अब क्या हुई 10. Okay, this is in every part of the world is Eid. It's going to be Eid. But for Hajis, it's a whole different experience. We're not looking to get ready for Eid Salah. Okay, it's different here. Now we're going in after Muzdalifah. We're going back to Mina. We can have breakfast, relax there. On the 10th, I'll mention quickly. On the 10th, we're going to be doing a couple of things in order. One is to go and do the pelting of the shaitan. Okay? Pelting of shaitan is going to be seven stones only on one of the shaitan. That is the last one. It's known as Uqba. On that one, we're going to do 7. After that, our group people will tell us that the animal has been sacrificed. We don't have to go ourselves. They usually take care of it. So they're going to tell you sacrifice. So pelting, sacrifice of the animal, and then haircut. If somebody breaks this routine, P, S, and H. That's how we remember this. Pelting, sacrifice, and haircut. Okay? If somebody does one after another and breaks this routine, there's a dam for that. This is a wajib tarkeeb. So please keep that in mind. This is why these are the important things to keep in mind. So if our Hajj group guys say that no, do it this way, say that we've learned it and we can ask ulama ikram. This is a picture of how the jamarat goes. We should not go too close. A very tall shaykh was saying, I went up and then people were hitting me in the back with the stones, right? And he turned around and he said, I'm not the shaitan, what are you doing? Right? So people get very, they get caught up in that situation. Instead of throwing, pebbles, they're going to take out their slippers and throw it. And it's symbolizing that this is where shaitan had stopped Ibrahim alayhi salam. It's symbolizing that. It doesn't mean shaitan is there, right? So we're just fulfilling the sunnah of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. No, we're not actually beating up shaitan, right? So we have to make sure that that's reminded to everyone. People get caught up with this. So stay back, alright? That's for your safety. Alright, after that, 7, we've done this. Let's move on. This is the original picture in 1952 how shaitan used to be, right? Over time, shaitan has grown very big. Look how small it used to be. So the idea is basically get your stone that way, throw it that way, okay? And one of the other things you notice that Coca-Cola has been there right next to so that's there. So this is just a whole picture to realize they're just expanding things. They're just expanding things. But what's going to happen is basically we do 7, and now from there sacrifice the animal, and we can go back to. We should be going back to Mina, but it's allowed to go to our room in Makkah as well if we are very, sick or tired. Now this is the 10th of Zulhijjah. You already did the pelting, you did sacrifice of the animal, and you did your haircut. Wapis aake baal katwa liye, ihram se nikal gaye. But until we do the last tawaf, our wives are not halal for us. That means 80% of the ihram is gone, but 20% is still there. That means it's not allowed to be with one's wife until we do tawaf al-ziyarat. That's the final farz of Hajj. In tawaf al-ziyarat, we go back to Makkah and we make the tawaf. This is very, very important. Sisters, the sisters that are seeing the cycle in these days, right after Muzdalifah, they can go and do tawaf al-ziyarat. They don't have to go for pelting and whatnot. If you feel, oh, my days are coming in, go immediately after Muzdalifah, take a taxi and do tawaf al-ziyarat. If tawaf al-ziyarat is done, the farz of Hajj is finished now. Ihram is done, staying in Arafah is done, and tawaf al-ziyarat is done. 3 farz of Hajj are finished. So now other things can be compensated, but these 3 we cannot compromise. That's why the last farz of Hajj is to do the tawaf al-ziyarat. There is one more wajib, and that is the day we are leaving the Makkah itself, we have to do one more tawaf that's known as the farewell tawaf. Tawaf al-Wada jise kehte hain. Okay, places to see in Makkah Mukarramah, Jannatul Mu'alla, this is where Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha is buried. Place of birth of Rasulullah, they used to allow this before, now because of construction that's no longer accessible. The cave of Hira, if we go for Umrah in any other part of the year, that's the time to do ziyarat. This time, it will be so hectic that we won't be able to get that close. Okay, this is where obviously the revelation started. And the last day of Makkah is then completed. We do one more tawaf, Tawaf al-Wada, and then we go to, after that we can leave to Madinatul Munawwara. Now I'm going to cut it short so we can take 10 minutes for a question and answer. In Madinatul Munawwara, all about respecting Rasulullah Sallallahu. Our aqidah is Rasulullah Sallallahu is alive in his grave. ठीक है, अगर आज आप सल्लम जिंदा होते और कहते हैं आओ मेरे से मिलने, तो कितने अदब से हम जाते, कितनी मोहब्बत से जाते, कितना दुरूद पढ़ते हुए जाते, right? We have to consider the same कि आप सल्लम वहाँ बैठे हैं, आप सल्लम मेरे इंतजार में. This is why no matter how many times you go, your eyes will fill up with tears because Rasulullah Sallallahu is waiting there, right? So we go with the utmost respect. यहाँ पर मुझे कोई ऐसा काम करना ही नहीं जिसके अंदर थोड़ी सी भी किराई हो. दुरूद पढ़ते हुए मदीनतुल मुनव्वरा पहुंचेंगे, and there is a second portion of slides, but I think we should leave that and take question answers, right? Okay, in the second portion is just the place of Uhud, the place of Masjid Quba, first masjid built, Masjid Qiblatain, where the Salat was taking place, and from Baytul Maqdis it became Baytullah, right? And these are places where they will take you, it's part of your package that they will take you, and there's going to be somebody speaking and telling you about the history of these places. The place of Uhud, Rasulullah visited Uhud on the way back from his Hajj, and he said this is a mountain that loves us and we love Uhud as well. So Uhud ki bhi ziyarat karna bahut zaruri hai. अब ऐसे करते हैं, थोड़ा सा सवाल ले लेते हैं, so we understand that what needs to be clarified. Yes, up.
Do the tawaf.
Yes.
Or the sa'i.
Yes.
How do we do that?
So in the sa'i, we're not going to raise our hands. Raise your hands like dua and you make niyat. Allah, मैं sa'i की नियत करता हूँ, मेरे लिए आसान फरमा, कबूल फरमा, और फिर कुछ देर तक दुआ करें. This is another place of acceptance of dua. Another place is Mizab Rahmat. That means where the water from the Kaaba falls down. That place. So these are places very difficult to get there, but duas are accepted. Multazim is the place right under the door of the Kaaba. That wall, to stick to that and make dua is a place of acceptance. Ji. आपकी बात clear हो गई? Yes. Anything else?
But does it have to be anybody, or it can be somebody family?
When we are selecting somebody to do Hajj Badal, we should look at this person. One is he should be trustworthy, of course, because he's going to be handling the wealth and he's going to be handling this ibadat. Number two, he should be somebody who has some level of being in him. Okay, so if we have in our family a scholar, right, and he's well qualified and he's deserving of going for Hajj, then give him the opportunity. But that person should have done his Hajj Farz once. So now we're making him do his Hajj Badal. He's doing it on behalf of our deceased. तो दीनदारी को आगे रखकर फिर शुरू करें अपने खानदान में, अपने मकामी लोगों में से, from our community, then that. But always give preference to somebody who has fear of Allah, so that he knows how serious his whole ibadat is and he's not taking it as a joke. When we do things for ourselves, we do it seriously. When we do it for someone else, we take it lightly, right? So that person should be someone जिस पे एतमाद किया जाए और दीनदार भी हो.
You said he have done his Hajj first?
Yes, he should have done his Hajj first, because his first Hajj is going to take place first. After that, this second Hajj is going to be a nafil on his aspect. Okay? ठीक है? जी.
I have two questions.
जी.
First question is, you stay only 2 weeks. How do you salat, like full salat or
2 weeks and the total journey? Okay, so 2 weeks, you're going to get a few days, maybe 4 or 5 days in Makkah and 4 or 5 days in Medina. The rest are 5 days of Hajj. So in this day, we cannot do the 40 salats in Madinah Munawwara because this package is not as long. Okay? So every salat in the Masjid Haram, of course, right? When we're in Makkah, every salat is 100,000 reward, right? So we have to make sure that we are praying. We cannot get lazy. The rooms are nice. The food is nice. Everything is distracting, but we have to make sure that we're praying with the Jama'at. If we go for ziyarat, we tell the person taking up a ziyarat that we're going after Fajr, bring us back before Zohar. We want to pray in the Haram. We want to pray every salah in the Haram. So we cannot sacrifice the salah in the Haram for our visitations of these historical sites. What's your other question?
you mentioned about the dam.
Yes.
What is the
Okay, so let's say if a person commits a violation, right, in Ihram, he puts on fragrance. Now, the fragrance that will constitute a dam would mean that he put on so much that covers the whole limb. That means ya to pura haath pe laga li. या पूरे सर पे उसने मेहंदी लगा दी, राइट, दाढ़ी मिलाई. These are full body parts. Face is one, head is one. If you complete that whole area with fragrance, and खुशबू लगाने का मतलब ये होता है कि लगाने के बाद आप समझे तो वहाँ है, it's there. That's what it means. Either it's on the ihram or on the body. ठीक है. अब ये जब लगे अब दम इसके ऊपर वाजिब हो जाएगा. Okay. That's just one example of how them. Now we have to have that goat slaughtered within the limits of haram. Okay, it cannot be done anywhere. Let's say we came back, then we found out we did so many violations. Tell somebody going for Umrah, give them the money and say that I need to have this done when you get there, so others can do it on our behalf as well. Yes.
सही के दौरान
जी
वुज़ू का होना लाज़मी है कि नहीं?
सही के दौरान वुज़ू का होना जो है लाजमी नहीं है, मुस्तहब है. That means while doing sa'i, if our wudu breaks, we should continue doing sa'i. But तवाफ के अंदर लाजमी है, ठीक है, तवाफ के अंदर लाजमी है. तवाफ के अंदर हम बगैर वुज़ू के करेंगे तो फिर यहाँ पे वायलेशन हो जाता है. So what should we do? Let's say we've done 3 circuits and now for some reason our wudu broke. To get out of that whole area, it takes around an hour or so. Okay, so we got through that whole process, make wudu, come back, and then continue from where we left off. Originally, scholars would say that if it's less than 3 circuits, then do it all over again. But it is allowed to continue because it's such a painful process to go out and come back. It takes hours. So now, when we come back, 2 हो गए तो अब आगे से चलें. अगर दूसरा चक्कर अक्सर हो गया था, तो उसको दोबारा से शुरू करें. जितना अधूरा जो है उसको दोबारा करें, जितने हो गए उसकी बिना करके आगे चलें. ठीक है जी.
सही के दौरान पानी पी सकते हैं कि नहीं?
सही के दौरान पानी पी सकते हैं और it's completely allowed. During the tawaf as well, you can stop and drink water. ठीक है जी. इनका जी जी आप बोलिए जी.
वो सारे सर के बाल के काटते हैं या सिर्फ एंड पर थोड़े से काटते हैं?
जब हम एंड को पकड़े ना तो पूरे सर के बाल को लेकर पकड़े. जब पकड़ेंगे ना चोटी पीछे से, तो आपने पूरे मिलाकर फिर इतने बाल जो आपके ये उंगली के पूरे के ऊपर आ जाए उतने बाल, बस about an inch.
सारे पकड़ेंगे
जी
सेंटर में जो है वो लंबे हैं
जी.
बाकी छोटे हैं.
अगर बाल पहले तो औरत के बाल बराबर होने चाहिए क्योंकि औरतों के लिए बाल कटाना वैसे भी मसला है, राइट. सो ये तो उमूमी तौर पे होता है. लेकिन अगर बाल कटे हुए हैं जैसे आप कह रहे हैं तो 1/4 अगर कट जाए ना, 1/4
वैसे नॉर्मली बाल ऐसे होते हैं जब आदमी जरा एज हो जाता है
जी जी जी
तो बाल ऐसे हो जाते हैं
जी
तो चोटी बन जाती है.
जी जी.
आप कैसे काटें?
अब आपने जितने हाथ में आते हैं उतना काट लें. ठीक है.
वो जो लंबे हैं उसको ज़्यादा काटते हैं?
नहीं, आपने एक दफा पकड़ना है, बस पीछे से पकड़ेंगे उसके बाद 1 इंच काट दें. बस आपके ऊपर ये जिम्मेदारी नहीं है कि आप आगे का देखें पीछे का देखें. जहाँ पर शरीयत में हर्ज लायक होता है वहाँ पर अल्लाह आसानी कर देते हैं. तो अब यहाँ पर इनको बाल काटना नहीं चाहिए, तो वैसे तो बराबर होना चाहिए औरतों के. लेकिन अगर इस तरीके से है तो आपने जितने अक्सर बाल पीछे से पकड़े हैं ना उसके 1 इंच काटते हैं बस. आयशा रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हा के बाल छोटे हो चुके थे क्योंकि उम्रा जब कर रहे थे ना छोटे हो गए थे. But it does not say that every hair from every angle has to be cut. That will make things very very difficult. समझ में आ गया जी? Anything else brothers? जी
वहाँ हमने माँ ने रोक लिया था. हम गए हज पर तो उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं सारे बाल रखने चाहिए.
जी जी जी. नहीं, आप दोबारा मालूम कर लें. आपने मेरे से पूछा तो मेरी राय यही है जी.
इनका सवाल जो है ना वो आपका कि उस बंदे पर जो हज बदल कर रहा है उस
जी.
पर हज फर्ज है या नहीं है? अगर फर्ज उस पर नहीं था और अभी तक गया नहीं तो
जी.
ये शख्स हज बदल कर सकता है लेकिन मकरूह है.
जी. अगर उसके ऊपर हज फर्ज हुआ ही नहीं है अभी तक, ठीक है, तो अब उसके ऊपर करना लाजमी नहीं है. ठीक है, अब उनके किसी और के लिए करेगा तो उसमें किरायत होगी क्योंकि इसकी पहली प्रायोरिटी ये थी कि अपना करे. ठीक है जी. Yeah. Right.
If somebody's already has done a Hajj for themselves and they're
Yeah.
doing it on behalf of let's say,
Someone else.
someone
Right.
else.
Yeah.
So for the sacrifice of the animal,
Yeah.
one will be done on behalf of the person that they're doing Hajj for. But what about for themselves?
So when we are doing Hajj on behalf of someone, everything that we are doing, it's considered for ourselves already. We don't have to do it twice. So that's not just for sacrificing, the tawaf, the sa'i, the staying, it's being done, our reward is already included in that. And this is only for people that are doing Hajj tamattu and qiran. Okay? these are only the qurbani is there. If somebody is only doing Hajj, that's ifrad, then there is no sacrifice for it.
In this case, that person only sacrifices one animal, rather
One
than
animal, right.
two, one for them, one for the person they're doing for.
Yeah, initially it will be for the person that they are doing for. That's it, because everything is on behalf of them, but it does not mean that they have to do another for themselves. It's included.
Yeah, because you are in safar, you are in journey in safar, so there is no qurbani and you.
Okay.
जी
जी वो अगर जब वो स्टोन कर फेंक रहा है, मतलब 7 बार फेंकने हैं, अगर वो स्टोन उस पर नहीं लगा, नीचे गिर गया उस जगह से, तो उसमें क्या है?
हमारी कोशिश पूरी हो के लग जाए, तो मैं दिखाया कि इतना बड़ा है,
जी जी,
फिर भी नहीं लग रहा तो लेकिन
मतलब उधर तक पहुंचा ही नहीं, बाज़ अगर दूर
लगा नहीं या उस तरफ गिर गया तो हो जाता है, रमी हो जाता है।
लेके जाए
ले जाए जी। Yes, it is allowed for those that are weak. First option is जो औरतें हैं, बूढ़े हैं, उनके लिए टेंट से जमरात के लिए जाना कभी कभार बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है. That's very difficult. So they can assign somebody to do the jamarat on their behalf. The other option is that they can go in the night time. रात में क्या होता है कि लोग काम होते हैं, मौसम ठंडा होता है. So that's the first preference that they try to do it themselves. अब उठ नहीं सकते, चल नहीं सकते, so obviously then it's allowed for them to give it to somebody else.
ये क्योंकि बात लोग ये बड़े लाइट ले लेते हैं कि थोड़ा यार औरतों के लिए जाना वहाँ पर मुश्किल है तो हम कर लेंगे. So it's the best thing this is what Mufti Sahab mentioned, to go in night time and do by their own.
So collect करने के लिए is there any particular time to collect the stones?
Anytime it is allowed that it should be done मुज़दलिफ़ा की रात में, और अगर नहीं हुआ बाद में भी किया जा सकता है, और किसी से ज़्यादा लिया वो भी आपको दे सकते हैं. जी.
When the ladies are the state of ihram and they have
Yes.
hijab,
Yes.
how would they do the wudu? Are they allowed to remove the hijab to, you know?
Yes, yes. For wudu, for ghusl, they can remove it and take a shower. They can remove it, do wudu. Okay, and this is in general cases. Like the hijab is not an obstacle for us for wudu and ghusl. Okay, it's just for covering in front of others. So during the whole time, like I mentioned, those things you can keep those with you. They're covered the face, right? And this is in a hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha. She says that when strangers would come close, we would put our hijab down, and when they would leave, we would move it. So there are people that say don't cover your face because it touches their face. If it touches, that's the violation. If it doesn't, you got both things. You covered yourself and you did not commit any violation. Right?
मैं भी माशाल्लाह अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह जा रहा हूँ. क्या पहले हमारा जो उन्होंने किया है वो पहले मदीना जा रही है, तो क्या मदीना पहले जाएंगे या कहाँ से स्टार्ट होगा?
देखें, इख्तियार दोनों का है. इख्तियार दोनों का है. अगर आप पहले ये पूछ रहे हैं कि चॉइस आपको है और आप कौन सा जाना चाहते हैं, तो उलमा से मैंने ये सुना है कि मक्का जाना पहले बेहतर इसलिए है क्योंकि जहनी तौर पे हम उम्रे के लिए जब जाते हैं इसमें डिले नहीं होता. हम वहाँ पहुँच के अब उम्रा ही करेंगे और फिर हमारे एहराम से निकल जाएंगे. जितनी देर एहराम में रहेंगे उतनी देर जो है वो चांसेस बढ़ जाती हैं कि कोई गलती होगी. राइट. दूसरा ये कि अगर हम मदीना जा रहे हैं तो अभी एहराम ना बांधें. ठीक है, एहराम ना बांधें, वहाँ ज़ियारत करें, वहाँ सारी चीज़ें करें. जब आप हज के दिन शुरू होंगे तो आप ज़ुल हुलैफा पे आपको रोकेंगे वो, तो वहाँ से आपने बांध के फिर एहराम शुरू करेंगे.
मदीना से जब हम निकलेंगे कहाँ पर आप
बेरियानी में आप लोग कर लेंगे.
ये अली और मस्जिद का नाम ज़ुल हुलैफा है. ये एक ही जगह है जहाँ पे आपसे हाँ बहुत बड़ी मस्जिद है, गुसल खाने है, पूरा सेटअप है. जी. या ओके. Do you have a connecting flight from somewhere? It's going directly to Jeddah?
Yeah, sorry, I do have a connection.
Where are you stopping?
Dubai.
In Dubai. Okay, so what you can do is don't make ihram right now, okay? And go and get off in Dubai. And when you're taking your flight from Dubai to Jeddah then, or Medina?
Jeddah.
Okay, so when you're going from Dubai to Jeddah, on the way you're going to cross Miqat. So you can either put it on right on the airport or do it on the flight. It's easier to do it on the airport, you know, you can take a shower and whatnot. But what will happen is that you will have the least amount of time in ihram, and that saves you from any violations. So in this case, don't do it from home. It is superior. Those that can, they do it from home too. But in our cases, we're weak, we make mistakes, so do it after we get off in Dubai, and then from there, inshallah. Ji. Yes.
So when Hajj starts and you are in ihram for 3 days,
So there are a lot of hajjats and the ihram gets dirty. So what do you do in that case?
So that's a good question. Now, ihram is white, right? Now, in terms of being dirty, there is going to be some dust. There's going to be sweat, right? So it is allowed for us to buy another ihram. They're selling them even in Mina tents now. They have places. If we want, we can always change the ihram, take a shower and wear another one. But we have to keep in mind that is that the instructions or not? Like, is it taking care of my looks? Is that priority or not? So in this case, it's not. So if we're getting dirty, we have to stop thinking for ourselves for that time. Let yourself get dirty. Inshallah, you'll be okay. But it's allowed to change the ihram to get dirty.
So what I meant by it, because probably there are portable bath restrooms and those things, so it can get dirty.
You're very right. Last time, the amount of space in the bathrooms in Mina is very, congested. So what happens is that when we're tying your ihram inside, sometimes your ihram touches the ground where people, there might be najasat on the ground there. That's a bathroom and it's a shower. Right? So what we do is that if you know for sure that a place on the ihram got dirty, just wash that area. Okay, that's our first resort. Now, if we want to buy another, that option is always there. You can buy another, inshallah.
Can we take the mask to put it over there? Because out of my advisor told me that I should take the mask over there.
See, initially to cover the face in ihram is not allowed. Okay, so what happens is that if there is a severe disease that we are going to, there's a uzr, right? There is a valid excuse. The doctors have said you have to have this face covered. So in this case, the thing with ihram is that even if there is a uzr, you still have to give the penalty, but you won't be sinful. So if we kept that on, right, we will see that how long did you have it on for? Okay, so if it's 1 day or 1 night, that means we count 12 hours. If it's a whole day, 12 hours you wore it, then there is a dam that has to be given for that. And you will not be sinful because of the valid excuse. But because violation happened, you still have to give the dam. Others have said that if a person cannot give dam, in the cases where there is a valid excuse, you can also fast or you can feed the masakin as well. This is only when there is a valid excuse.
My thinking is there that only the other days of Hajj, there I will wear the mask.
Yeah, if you're not in ihram, it's fine. Then it's fine.
I was reading somewhere that you can do your sa'i before completing your...
Yes, that's correct. That let's say we get to for Umrah, we get to Makkah, we've done our tawaf and we do sa'i. This is to get out of ihram, right? Now there's an extra sa'i that is the sa'i for Hajj. There's an option. You can do that immediately, even before, or you can do it with tawaf ziyarat at the end. Okay? What's more superior? To do it later. It's more superior. किसी ने पहले कर लिया तो अब बाद में सिर्फ तवाफ करेगा सही नहीं करेगा. Okay? So that is allowed to shuffle. You can do it before.
But even for doing that sa'i, you have to do the tawaf and then do...
No, just sa'i. Just do the sa'i. Yes. Please.
Drinking Kabe Zamzam is also part of the Umrah or...
Sorry, Kya?
Drinking.
Yes. Is it part of Hajj?
No, part of Umrah,
Yeah, no, that's a part of our life. We have to drink Zamzam as much as we can. So when we go there, when we go there, we take advantage of it. Hajj, Umrah, बल्कि इसी की वजह से जान पड़ती है. That's how hard it is there. जी.
Only those brothers can ask questions who are going. Because we are
during dua, I understand you could recite
any duas and
stuff like that. The question is that what can you recite?
Again, zikr, any zikr. But there's a ayat in Surah Baqarah, Inna Safa wal Marwata min sha'a'ir. That ayat should be recited, and other azkar as we remember them, whatever. But also to reflect on what happened there, that's part of that. Okay. So let's say we're with a group and people are starting to talk. People talk and say. So what we do is bring the conversation towards this. That where are we standing? What are we doing? Again, reflect over that. Ji.
So on the 10th day when we are coming again for tawaf, are they 7 or single?
Tawaf ziyarat. All the tawafs are 7 circuits.
Okay. And does it include the sa'i with it or not?
Yes. We're going to do sa'i after tawaf ziyarat. Okay. Anything else, inshallah, brothers? The main thing is that we make dua, that Allah makes it easy. It all comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where I started my talk from. There are many things we missed out, but if we're prepared and we made our mindset in the right place, inshallah, things will be easy. The problems that come, we'll know how to handle them. Or good, whatever.
The last one, very quick one. How we avoid the distraction? Should we read the
Distraction?
Quran all the time?
During what time?
I mean, any time during that.
So any time of Hajj is all about فَإِذَا أَفَوْتُم مِّنْ عَرَفَاتٍ فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ. So dhikr, Allah ka dhikr zyada se zyada karna. So there's different forms. This is why I mentioned that our ibadat, the beauty is that there's different forms, so we don't get tired of it. Thodi tilawat karni, phir uske baad kuch nawafil padhni. So we keep shuffling and keep ourselves interested.
My dear brothers and sisters, main thing is that you know, today or yesterday we have read a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that whoever goes for Hajj, you know, they are the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts their du'as. So when you're starting your journey towards Hajj, so please keep remember us in your